Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Now today I'm joined by Aaron, who is a big Arsenal fan, and he has his own channel too as well. And yeah, we're gonna chat today about Arsenal, get to know him better about his about the season, about tomorrow, the PSV game. We're saying off that it's just the season is just what else can we say? I mean, it's just not been great. But thank you for coming on today. How are you doing?
My pleasure. Yeah. I said to you off stage. I've had a little bit of a toothache at the minute, but unfortunately, the Arsenal ache's a bit worse than the tooth at the minute. It's not been too great, is it? Apart from the fact that we're 7-up in aggregate on the game we're previewing, that's not too bad. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll get into the rest. But I've been very good. Thank you very much, and also thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure.
Oh, it's really great to have you on. I'm really excited, to chat with you about Arsenal. It is weird though, because I think to myself, how can we beat a team 7-1 and then put in a performance like that against United? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I knew the United game, I knew it wasn't going to be like a 3-0. I knew if we were going to get a win, it would be like a 2-1. And I don't really we don't have that confidence in the team right now to get, a very comfortable win in the league. And with the league as well, it kind of feels like we're not really playing for much because I think we know the
Yeah,
league's done, and I feel like we're in a top four race. I mean, we are closer to fourth than we are to first, which says it all,
sadly.
really. Yeah. But what have you made for the season? Because for me, last season, obviously it was annoying and devastating that we fell short at the end again. But I felt a bit of optimism going into the season. I thought if we bring in the striker, if we bring in the right
Yeah.
players, we could have a really good season. And for me, it's just been terrible this season.
Well, look, it's hard to argue with that assessment, really. And to be fair, I was the same as you. So even though obviously I've got season tickets, so I'll go to
Yeah.
the home games. I haven't got many points, so I don't go to a lot of away ones. But yeah, just like everyone else, sitting at home, sitting in their seat at the Emirates, when that full time whistle went, and we knew that we weren't going to win the league, it was a little bit upsetting, a little bit devastating. But we picked ourselves up, we dusted ourselves off, and we obviously hoped that we'd go in and there'd be something a little bit better for the season. Now, in June and July, and just maybe a little bit before August, because we knew we'd sort of have our signing sort of tied up by then. But sort of like I hope that we'd go into the transfer window and attack it. And exactly quite right what you said there, Soph. I as well just thought, we're only 2 points behind. We're a couple of players away, a couple of correct signings away. I think Soph's gone, but I'll continue for everyone. So we was only a couple of signings away, and I think if we'd have signed ourselves a striker, which is clear and evident that we needed a striker. I think that's fair to say across the board. We've needed one for a couple of seasons. We never really replaced Aubameyang, did we? Let's face it, and he was top class. Perhaps not towards the end of his sort of tenure at Arsenal. It ended a little bit messy, unfortunately. But yeah, I thought, maybe go in for like a Gyökeres or something, if you can't get them negotiations right. He had a release clause and he's had one for the last 2 years. So I just sort of thought, get that one, go in June the 1st, the second that window opens, go in and get him, just put that money down. Bearing in mind as well that 80 million was the same that we spent on Mikel Mourinho and Calafiori. So the money was there. I just think it was spent quite poorly, but
Mm.
I think, if you was to say spend that money, if you take away Mourinho and you take away Calafiori and you only just spent the money on Gyökeres, maybe even kept Emil Smith Rowe, in hindsight, of course, I'd have liked to have kept him, but, it would have been a little bit of a better summer. Of course, not strikers, not what I only wanted. We all want more players, a backup for Saka. That left side isn't totally 100%. We need a number 10, really, I believe, to either replace or tackle with Odegaard. We're going to need another number 6 when Thomas Partey goes. But, we still had this season. But I just thought it started off really badly. So all of that nice sort of positive thoughts that we had maybe towards the end of the season, as we progressed into that summer transfer window, and, it seemed to take an age to get Calafiori. And I thought, I'm okay with Calafiori as long as other
Yeah.
players follow it. That's fine. He'd just come off the back of a very good European, campaign with Italy. And I just thought, yep, okay, when's the striker? And, you know, them days and days ticked. They turned into weeks. Then they turned into a month. And then we were only linked with Marino, which that sort of seemed to take a while, didn't it? So, you know, he only had 1 year left on his deal. He said he didn't want to come. Said he did want to come, sorry. I thought that might be quite straightforward. And, you know, them days sort of ticked and ticked on. And it was very disappointing, weren't it, that transfer window? I think it all comes back there.
Yeah, I think, like you said, that's where you've got to, look back on the season. I mean, I know the January window, that's another one, but I do think the main problem was the summer. Like, I think I'm with you. Like, the end of last season, you think to yourself, if we'd have had a striker, I think we could have won the league quite comfortably last season. And
Yeah. Yeah.
it, it just, I can't understand why we didn't bring a striker in. And I think, so many of us keep talking about it, and we're so tired of saying, why haven't we brought a striker in? I mean, we've just, like, you look at players that have gone, like you said, like Nketiah's gone, which, was the right thing, and we haven't
Yeah.
even brought anyone in to replace him. And I do think the recruitment is quite poor. I mean, with the
Yeah.
summer, I was okay with it. I wouldn't say I was excited. I just felt like it was okay. I mean, I do like Calafiori. I mean, defensively, he does, need improvements, but I
Yeah.
think in the attacking sense, he just brings you something exciting. Obviously, it's very hard. I mean, like we said, defensively is a side of his game where he is lacking a bit, but I think he's definitely, hopefully going to be, the season even.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll start all the time because we know Lewis Skelly's done so well, but
Yeah, really is.
Marino as well. I mean, I, I just don't know what I think of Marino. Like, I just don't think I have an opinion on him. Like, I just don't know. I mean, I know when he started as a striker, he scored 2 goals, and I was thinking to myself, can he be our striker now? And it's sort of
More
just
hope
fizzled
though
out.
than
Yeah,
expectation, isn't it? Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah.
it's all hope. That's all we have, and it just never happens. But what have you made of him so far? Because he doesn't really start unless he has to. Obviously, if Havertz is playing, he wouldn't be starting right now.
Yeah.
But what do you make of him right now?
Yeah, Marino he's been a frustrating one. I think, you know, it's some people say it's too early to say. He's not
Mm,
for me. I think especially maybe give it another year or 2 years time, we will be looking back on it and thinking it was a very, very, very poor signing. I think it is already. But you know, I know some people process things. Some people like to give
yeah,
players a little bit longer, and I totally agree with that. I just sort of look there and I think in a really pivotal summer where, you know, we needed to spend money in the right places and on the right players, of course.
yeah,
Um, a midfielder from Real Sociedad with 1 year left on his deal that openly said he wanted to come to Arsenal and Sociedad wanted to sell him for 35 million, you know. And, you know, I think he was on 40 grand a week there and we've given him 130. I'm thinking we've just crippled ourselves again a little bit financially because if he doesn't work out, what sort of happens then? You know, you're definitely not
yeah,
getting 35 million pound back. This will, you know, face that because he'll probably go back to Spain and no one's paying that for him. And then, you know, no one's going to be paying his 130 million. So, look, it's like any player. So, I'd love them to do well at Arsenal. I never wish anyone bad. The better
yeah,
they do for the football club, the better that they, you know, that's it. The better for us, you know. I just sort of I can't really see where he sort of fits in. And by that, we know he's not a long term striker. We all know that. This is just plugging a gap at the minute.
yeah,
But what he's brought in for, that midfield, I just think we can do so much better. You know, like I would personally like a Bruno Guimaraes there. I think that would
yeah,
improve us as hard as that would be to sort of get. I think, say, if we got him in the summer, you compare them two on that left eight, which he was
yeah,
predominantly bought in for, and you're talking a big, massive difference in quality. And it's them massive differences in quality so that win you titles. You know, like the geezer there, Patrick Vieira behind me, Sol Campbell, Dennis Bergkamp to my right shoulder. You know, they played around good players, and a lot of the players in this squad sadly wouldn't get
mm,
into them teams. I mean, Marino wouldn't be playing next to Patrick Vieira anytime soon, you know, and he definitely wouldn't be partnering Dennis Bergkamp up
yeah,
front. I can promise you that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame, that one. I think I'm already there. I think it's a poor signing, especially for the money. If
yeah,
we paid 15 million for him, I'd go, do you know what? Yeah, that's you know, I get it. We've taken a punt on him. You know, it hasn't quite worked. But,
Yeah.
when you're spending a large part, which turned into about 50% of our transfer funds or in what we outlaid, it's just not really worked, has it? I think, like I said to you, I know you like Calafiori, and to be fair, it's not that I dislike him. I agree with you with the defending bit. I can also see a player in there.
Yeah.
He's young. He's moved from from Italy. And not a lot of young Italians do that. So I get that. I'm happy to give him a bit of time, but especially in a position in the season this year, we've really needed these players to come in and hit the ground running. And whilst Calafiori's had his moments, and to be fair, Mourinho's had some moments. I think we all sort of would have liked a bit more from him. I think that's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
I think you know what I have the problem with, not just Arteta, but I mean I suppose he's the one that chooses the players. I think he picks players that will be good in the future, and we need players that are going to be ready now. I mean, I think Declan Rice was the perfect signing because we've seen what he's like at West Ham, England. We know what he can do, and he's obviously, I know the season's been a bit different, but for me, he's done so much better than what I thought, and we know he's good already. And I feel like Arteta, wants to bring in players like Havertz at the time, had a bad time at Chelsea. He improved him. I do think that, and I feel like Arteta likes to bring in players to improve instead of just
Yeah.
bringing in players that are gonna work now because I think Havertz was a lot of money, and I look back on it and I think he's done better last season than what I thought he would. I didn't know what I expected really. I think we
Yeah.
knew at Chelsea that he did score in a Champions League final, but other than that, I don't think he was outstanding. And we are looking now and thinking, even with Havertz in the team, I do think we'd still struggle with our
Yeah.
attack because we have looked quite
Yeah.
predictable this season. I think that is something that we have struggled with. But with like Arteta, what have you made of him overall? Because I think this season, it's sort of if you judge him on the season, I don't think he's particularly done great.
No.
But how would
Don't
you
get
like
pretty.
overall assess him? Do you think his time's up now? Like, how do you feel about him?
Yeah. So I'll sort of get through sort of them bits. I am Arteta out. I don't believe that he's taken us forward. I appreciate that when he come in his first 6 months, he won the FA Cup.
Yeah,
Of course, that's what we're in the game for. To see us, to do that, to lift them trophies.
yeah,
The last game at Wembley with fans in because that was COVID, of course, in 2020. I was at the League Cup final in 2017 at Wembley. FA Cup final, of course. I mean, and it's fantastic moments. That's what you go to games for. That's what you pay the money for. So when he come in and done that before, here we go. And he had a decent summer that following. with the Ramsdales, the Tom Yasu's. Unfortunately, one's left, one's always injured. Sadly, he was a good player. It's a shame on Tommy.
yeah,
He brought in some good players. Still sort of finished like 8th, and I thought, okay, look, you got to give him some credit in the bank. He's just won an FA Cup, and then we got the 5th place, and we bottled it to Spurs, didn't we? Big time. That
Oh,
5-0.
yeah,
It 3-0, sorry, not 5-0, 3-0, sorry. And what was it? I think Did Holding get sent off? I think for a silly
yeah,
little elbow, wasn't it? I think maybe on Kane or one of the boys. And I just thought to myself then, as like, we had a little bit of a lead on them and he'd bottled it. And I was on the fence. I wasn't totally 100% out, but I was like, okay, can this bloke get us over the line? Because that was his second full season.
yeah,
And then the season that followed it, of course, I think surprised us all. And it's actually been by far his best season. And the reason I say that is because it took the league by surprise. We completely attacked from the off. Like, we were winning games within the first 10, 15 minutes. We were ripping shreds of teams to shreds. We had Saka was nicely coming in, Emil Smith Rowe. Them boys were sort of, absolutely torturing some teams. And I was enjoying going to the Emirates. I was thinking we're playing some really good football. And of course, we're top of the league for such a long time. And I thought, okay, maybe it's taking its sort of time to start picking up, but okay. And, we got to 10 games left, 8 points ahead, and we ended up finishing 5 points behind. And what was the turning sort of point from then? And what I thought was such a largely positive season was that when he came out afterwards and he said, I nearly thought about quitting after that. And I thought, oh man, I don't really want a manager that has that season. And when it just ain't gone right for him, he wants to quit after that. And I just thought myself, that's not really what a leader does. But look, the last season, albeit didn't really start the league that great, we hung on in there, didn't we? And we were, of course, top at Christmas. But what followed it was the really unfortunate 2-0 home loss at West Ham. And then what followed was a 2-1 away loss at Fulham, whilst being 1-0 up as well. And then, of course, we find ourselves behind the pack. We got ourselves back in, but I never thought the football was anywhere near as electrifying as the season before, albeit, we accumulated quite a lot of points last season.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic run towards the end after Dubai, everyone's saying. But ultimately, we still fell that little bit short. And that was then his fourth full season, and it fell short in the top four race of Spurs. He's then fallen twice in a title challenge, And then you're thinking, okay, and sort of a copy and paste of what I said earlier, how can we do this in the window? We're 2 points behind from last year, Manchester City, the champions. Let's go into the summer and be aggressive. Let's go and get 3 or 4 proper players that say we are here now. And we just didn't do the business. And look, Mikel Arteta's openly come out and said himself, it's he gets the final say on transfers. So, a lot of the blame, I think, for the summer, it can't just all come down to him because Edu was there.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's got to come down to him. And when you're going now 5 years, and next season, of course, it will be 6, whether we win a trophy or not, it will be 6 because it will be another year gone. I'm sitting there and I'm just thinking, after 5-6 years with a lot of money spent, so if we're talking over £750 million spent, the Cronkies might not have backed him as much as they could, but they certainly have backed him. That's got to be said. I'm not going to lie. I've really expected more from this manager and from this team. The players have to, be accountable as well. But ultimately, it's, you can't sack 22 players, but you can sack one manager that isn't getting the best out of them, And of course, he's got the best out of them largely, but he hasn't won anything, with his team. I think that's fair to say, He won it with Emery's team. He still won it, Soph. Big up Sunshine. He still won it. That can't ever be taken away from him, and I never will. But now he's got his own team. He hasn't done anything with them, and that's sort of worrying going forward. This is a real pivotal summer. This summer window. Let me get you right on that. So if we don't get it right this summer, Manchester City are coming back. Liverpool are going to spend this summer. Newcastle are out there. PSR, they'll want to be spending some money, and we all know Chelsea are going to throw absolute cash at anything. I just sort of hope that we don't sort of lose our way again, because if we have another summer like we did last summer, and teams catch us up, it might not be pretty. But yeah, it's a shame. I think someone else to come in, a new manager, I reckon, would really invigorate this team, and it will be here by the summer. But yeah, he's not done enough for me. And I think we made, just to stop there, we made a big mistake giving him that big contract earlier on in the season. We should have waited till around now and towards the end and just assessed his season before we give it to him.
Yeah, I think that's crazy, because I think, in my opinion, like, if you get a contract, like, you have to have earned it, or you have to have done something good, whether that's, I think it's probably got given because he had such a good season last season. I mean, I know we didn't get any success, but in the league, I think that's probably the best for me Arteta's done in the league, with getting close to the end. It is so tough for Arteta, isn't it? Because there's been so many times over the years where I felt like it's just not going to work, and then he's changed my mind again. I never thought we would compete under him, and never really thought that, because we're being honest, we were 8th. I know the first season he was, continued from Emery, so I felt like we couldn't really say too much. Needed to give him a bit of time, and as you said, he's had plenty of time now, and we can discuss the Conkeys and all of that. But as you mentioned, Arteta has been given a lot of money, and I think you can't deny that. And don't get me wrong, he's brought so many great players in, and we can appreciate that. But at the same time, you look at players that he's brought in, whether this is Edu as well. I mean, you likes of Sterling, Willian, like, these are things, and you think to yourself, like, I just don't get the thought process behind it, like, especially with Sterling as well. I mean, at the moment, we need someone that's going to come on and change the game, or just do something.
Yeah.
And he's obviously sat on the bench, and he doesn't deserve to come on. He's not going to change anything for us. And I'm
Facts.
happy Arteta's actually not really brought him on, because I think it's not really the best option as well. And it is so tough for Arteta because I think whatever me or you or Arsenal fans say, I think we know he's still going to be here.
Yeah,
For I don't know how long. I mean, I see him. I think it's more likely for him to walk than the Kroenkes to get rid of him. I don't think. I just don't see it happening, and it's obviously interesting as well because the Champions League for me is our best chance of success. But I also think we're not gonna get past Madrid. I just can't see us beating Madrid or Atletico
yeah,
Madrid, and it and you just don't know if Arsenal. We just never know which Arsenal are going to turn up. I think we're so up and down the season. And I think you make a great point as well about the players because there's so many players this season I think haven't stepped up that should have. I mean, I
yeah.
don't like to just blame one player, but Odegaard's had a lot of criticism, and I get he was injured a while ago, and he might have had stuff off the pitch going on, but if I hadn't watched Arsenal, I'd really have thought Declan Rice was our captain. I just
Yeah.
think it's crazy with Odegaard. Like, what have you made of him this season? I mean, like we said, it's not just him. I think we've been quite poor in general. But I just suppose I expected to see a bit more from him as he's our captain.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You're landing the points there. Look, it's not just this season. I don't think Odegaard's been poor. I think it was poor last season as well. And you mentioned about the injury. He's played 17 games since
Yeah,
then. And funny enough, his best games were just after he came back. I thought when
yeah,
he come back, I can't think the teams that we played off the top of my head, but the first 3 or so games he come back, he looked pretty good. And I thought, wow, he's come back. This is what we've been missing. And he just slowly started to sort of
mm,
go back, sort of downhill. It was nothing. He's nothing. And there's Martinelli in there. I know he's got an injury as well, but him and Martinelli, I think 2 years ago, when that season we were attacking and playing
yeah,
really great football, I thought they were both fantastic, and their numbers proved it. Martin Odegaard got 15. Can't quite think of how many assists off the top of my head, but it would have been on the higher scale. Martinelli got, I think, double figures in goals and assists that season.
yeah,
Um, Martinelli went from then 70 grand a week to 180. Martin Odegaard's gone from 100 to 240, and I think they've rewarded that a little bit too
mm,
prematurely as well, because that's sort of money where big money really, where players are consistently doing that. And okay, I understand the counter argument, if they've had great seasons, maybe teams are looking at them, we'll give them the money, make sure they sign the deal. But in the season and a half, season and 3/4 that's followed it, both of them haven't put anywhere near the numbers and haven't played anywhere near really as well as they did them, that 2 seasons ago. I think the drop off, especially, with Odegaard, like you quite rightly say, being captain, it is really disappointing. And a point I'll make about that is, since Saka got injured, he was clearly our best player. You
yeah,
then expect he is, yeah. I think it's inarguable. I think 99.9% of Arsenal fans would say he is, and I think they'd be right too. You sit there and you think, okay, our best player's out. He's always scoring. He's a match winner. Someone step up now, please. And I expect my captain, absolutely without shadow of a doubt, I expect my captain to be the one that goes, okay, Saka's injured. I'm going to be Arsenal's best player now. I'm going to step up. I'm going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. I'm going to be the match winner. I'm going to provide that match winning assist. I'm going to, he does run around and put effort in. I'll give him that. But, he hasn't done that. He hasn't really stepped up to that plate and took
yeah,
over the team, and to even more of his sort of embarrassment-ish, we've allowed a 17-year-old in Ethan Nwaneri to step up to that plate in his breakthrough season, and I sit there and I just think, brilliant that Ethan Nwaneri is having the season that he's doing, but really he
yeah,
shouldn't be our saviour, our hope and saviour, and our best player at the minute. There's other players really that should be stepping up, and like you said, it should be our captain, and it just isn't, and it's not been for a while. So, um,
yeah,
I would like a Rice. You look at the
mm,
game at Manchester United. He pops up with a really good goal,
mm,
a captain's goal. To get us back into that game, and then that challenge towards the end
yeah,
that stops you from losing 2-1. And who knows, from that challenge, if you don't make that, you could. I know we didn't, but you could lose 2-1. You could make that challenge, pass the ball up top, and go and score and win 2-1. That's what them little moments do. That's
yeah,
what captains do, and we just haven't seen them moments anywhere near enough from Martin Odegaard, really. If I'm being honest, it's been disappointing. And like what you say as well, it's not just him. He's not the only one. I
Yeah.
think Trossard's blown hot and cold this season. Martinelli again, has been a little bit hot and cold. Havertz has some moments where he looks all right and then he drops off.
Yeah.
Jesus, I mean, he's been injured for a lot of the time, but largely I think our centre backs have been pretty good. A shame with obviously Ben White. Please don't pay Thomas Partey at right back. That doesn't seem to work.
That's the thing.
We
know it doesn't work, and he does it, and it's weird because I think to myself, Arteta must see what we're seeing, that it's not
Yeah,
working, and he still does it. It is so annoying. I do want Arteta to do well because obviously it means as well Arsenal do well, but
yeah,
I mean another one as well for me is that I like Tierney. I know he
yeah,
is injured a lot, and if
yeah,
Arteta thinks he's getting injured too much, doesn't want to play him. But I think the problem that we're having is at left back at the moment. I know we've got Lewis Skelly, but after Lewis Skelly, I would play Tierney because, like as we've just mentioned,
yeah,
we know Calafiori, unfortunately, defensively, isn't too good, and I feel like I just don't really get why Tierney, was probably going to leave, and I just don't know why Teta's not really playing him. I mean, he's clearly fit to play, so why isn't he playing him?
yeah. Me and you are totally in agreement there. I mean, 100%. And I say this on my channel all the time. Yeah. Like you said about him always been injured, but to be fair, he has been. I think he's been fit all season, hasn't he? I'm
Yeah,
fairly sure. Maybe he's had the odd little niggle here or not, but we probably wouldn't know because he don't get played. But yeah, it's sort of mad that he's been there all season. We had an option as well to activate it for another year, and we decided no. So obviously he signed a pre-contract rather. So we know he's going. It's just sort of a shame, he has had them injuries. And then what makes me laugh is we've spent 35 million on Zinchenko, who's injury prone, and then we've gone and spent 40 million on Calafiori, who's also injury prone, and we've ended up as a left back, as an academy youngster, as starting off as a midfielder, and he's playing really well there. It's been a bit of a problematic position for Mikel Arteta. But he could probably have solved that a little bit better by actually playing Tierney, And I think a lot of the matches, especially now, where we haven't got the players due to some injury, I actually think, considering we're putting Marino up there, who's tall, and they're clearly aiming crosses in. I mean, Kieran Tierney's our best crosser of the ball.
yeah,
It's
he's
even
great.
more baffling why he's not on there, giving us, that excellent service that you can give Marino, Yeah, I mean, he does make some funny old decisions, Mikel Arteta. I certainly don't agree with, and it's a shame Tierney is going. I think he's, especially towards this latter 2 years of his Arsenal career, I think he's been treated really poorly, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree because I think I don't remember like what season it was, but when he was always playing, he was probably our best player. I mean, I don't think
Yeah,
Saka was playing at this point, or Saka was what he is now. Saka's
yeah,
always been
yeah,
good,
yeah,
but Tierney was always that. You look on the team sheet, he's that player that excites you when you see him. And at one point, I thought he could be a captain for us, and it's a
yeah,
real shame
yeah.
as well.
Facts.
Yeah, like True Gooder says, he's shown that he's got that winning mentality as well, and
Yep.
it's a shame really how it's ended because he left Celtic. He probably thought to himself, I'm going to go to Arsenal. Maybe I might win the league. Maybe I know he's only won an FA Cup, which is quite sad because I just feel like a player like him could have won so much more in the
Yeah.
league, and it's a shame, it really is. And I agree with you. Like, I mean, if Arteta, like I said, wanted Tierney to move on in the summer, then okay, but you could play him for now, and he hasn't, which is a bit confusing. And another thing I've noticed as well with Zinchenko is that um, we know he can play in midfield. Arteta's never played in midfield until now, and I'm just like, it's so hard really because I'm trying to understand that it just doesn't make sense in my head at all.
Well, a lot of what he does don't really make sense. You're not the only ones, and don't worry, so if you're not the only one. But do you know what as well about Tierney that extra worries me? Yeah, is let's just say for argument's sake, we could have added the option for in Tierney, and he did stay for another season, which we know he's not. But let's just say
Yeah,
hypothetically, and we did sack Arteta for whatever reason, whenever during Tierney's sort of stay. I reckon a new manager would come in and play him, and not only
Yeah.
just play him, probably convince him to sign a new deal. Thus, sort of making that left back issue sort of quite tied down. That I just think that that's going to really come back and bite us, But
Yeah.
I mean, good luck to Tierney. I think
Yeah.
he's going back to Celtic, and he's gonna be buzzing, ain't he? He's gonna be so happy going back there, and he's obviously gonna win titles there, isn't he?
Yeah.
Celtic, they run away with the league quite a bit, don't they? Like, I'm gutted as an Arsenal fan, but I'm happy for Tierney. He's going
Yeah.
home. Isn't he?
I think he's always been like a true professional, even when I'm sure he's probably frustrated and thinking, I'm good enough to play and I'm
Yeah,
fit." And I think he's always been quite professional, which I think is really nice. And like you said, I think there'll always be love there with Arsenal fans with him because
yeah,
he's always, like you said, he's always given 100%, and it's just a shame. And I'm with you. I think if a new manager came in, I think things would be different in, which players would start, and it is a shame, but unfortunately, I think at the moment Tierney's only going to come on when, you know, we don't have many options. I mean,
yeah,
at the moment, you look at our bench and you just think we don't really have much to bring on. But I
yeah,
think he made a really good cross the other day. I can't remember which game it was, but I thought, like you said, Marino's as a striker, it'd be really good to have Tierney on that, wing because he's always been great at that as well. So
yeah.
I would like to see him play more, but I just don't think Arteta's going to do that.
No.
And obviously, we've got PSV tomorrow, and we're already 7-1 up. What are you expecting from the game? Do you think the team will want to score more goals? Do you think the team are just gonna maybe sort of sit back and just try not concede like 6 goals?
Or get injured.
Yeah, and no
Yeah.
injuries, hopefully.
Look, I must admit, I tried putting my ticket up on Ticket Exchange, but because it's such a dead rubber, it hasn't sold. And the reason why is it's very frustrating. It's unfair because Arsenal done this Porto last year, is they made it a Category A game. So I sit up a tier, so the seats are a little bit more expensive anyway, and it's 92 quid for tomorrow. Tomorrow's game. Sorry, it's a lot of money, I think, for
Yeah, it is.
a last 16 tie against PSV. I could have sort of seen it if it was against one of Europe's big boys, but for Porto at home and PSV, 92 quid's a bit poor, and that's why it's not sold, as well as being 7-1 up. A lot of season ticket holders have thought, what, I'll swerve tomorrow, but I will be going because I don't want to just lose the 90 quid. I'm going to be going tomorrow. I'm going to meet up with a couple of
Yeah,
the lads I haven't seen in a bit. But obviously back to the game. I'd like to see something sort of changed. I mean, in terms of personnel, we don't need to be playing the likes of Bill Saliba.
yeah,
I would rest not the whole sort of 11 because we haven't got a whole 11 to come in. But I'd certainly be maybe playing like a Calafiori left-sided centre back to give Gabriel a breather, or maybe even on the right side and put who's the name, Kivior, maybe just make them as a back two. Just
yeah,
again to just give Gabriel and Saliba that break because we know we're going to play one of the Madrid teams, and it would be devastating for us to play Gabriel and Saliba, and one of them, or God forbid, both of them, get a 3-week
yeah,
injury or something like that, and one of them again or both of them miss that. I think we're not going to lose by 6 goals, are we? I'd like to hope not. I think we can get away with resting our important boys, shall I say, for that next sort of round. So, they're the sort of players I'll be playing there. Left back, we've got an
yeah,
abundance. Ainsley can sort of slot in there if he wants to, or hopefully Kieran Tierney. If you're not going to get a game here, when are you? Maybe
yeah,
give Ben White a bit of a run out, unless it's pushing him a bit too much. It'd be good to get a few minutes in his legs, and players like Jorginho's and
yeah,
sort of them sort of players. Martinelli again, depending on if he is ready to come back or not, try and get him up to sort of speed, and match ready for them quarterfinal ties. I think that's fair enough. And look, with a lot of changes, I wouldn't expect us to be absolutely hammering them, and expecting to go there 5-0 because of the personnel changes.
yeah,
That what I'd make. Of course, we don't know if that's what he is going to make. I still expect to win. Let's get it right. We're at home. They know that they've got no dog in the fight. So you'd sort of be expecting it. It might even sort of be training ground-esque. But hopefully that's sort of a positive thing for us. like I said, I do expect sort of some form of entertainment. A lot of players as well. It gives an opportunity if he does make wholesale changes for
Yeah.
to change things or try things. We've got a young striker on the bench, haven't we? Was it Deji something or whatever?
Yeah, we've got
Maybe
a lot of younger players
yeah,
we could play. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Give them some minutes. Perhaps not from the start, but if whatever the scoreline, as long as even within the last 20 minutes, I mean, the game's absolutely secured. Just
Yeah.
throw some lads on. Maybe put Martinelli on up front, give that a go. Just try some new things tactically. That's sort of what I
Yeah.
expect of us, and I reckon if we don't give youngsters opportunities or fringe players opportunities, or just trying a couple of new tactics, I think it'll be a missed opportunity in a game like this, where
Yeah.
it's done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like definitely. I think you gotta give players like Timber as well a rest. Like these players
Yeah,
that we need for I mean, whoever we're gonna have, Madrid, Atletico Madrid, I think either way we need, like you said, if Saliba or Gabriel are out for that, then we'd be in big trouble. So I think, like you said, I definitely think you could mix it up in the midfield, as we mentioned. Jorginho, we know he's got that experience as well, and
yeah,
I think it's unlikely that they're gonna score 6, but we want a bit of experience in the team because honestly, you just never know with Arsenal at
yeah,
this point, and I
yeah,
think as well, I'd be tempted maybe to give Sterling a run out just to see if
yeah,
he would prove anything. I mean, like you said, we've not got much to lose by giving these players a run in or changing a few things in the
yeah,
striker position. But I think like you said, Tierney as well. I reckon he would get a game hopefully. But I do wonder how strong he's going to go because I think we know we're comfortable and we know that we've won pretty much.
yeah,
I do obviously expect them to get some sort of revenge, or I do expect them to try and go for it a lot more. Because it was quite a comfortable performance from us last time.
yeah,
But yeah, I do really hope Arteta does change things up. I mean, I think it'd be nice to see a few players, like we said, maybe a few younger players. I mean, like you said, not necessarily starting, but if we're comfortable in the 70th
yeah.
minute and we've won, I think, it'd be great to see them get a run out. I just wanted to say big up to everyone that's watching. Big up to Joseph. Thank you so much,
Big up,
Charlotte. Big up to everyone.
big up, Charlotte.
Big up. Hope you are all enjoying this. With obviously the next round, I mean,
Looking forward to this question. Yeah,
I think either way it's gonna be hard. Whether
yeah,
we come up against Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, I think they're both different styles. But how do you feel about that? I mean, is there a chance we could get through? I mean, I watched Real Madrid when they played Man City, and I thought they're quick. And I think to myself, I know we've got great defenders, but I just think that they might be too fast for us, and
yeah,
we'd have to the players, if they played how they did last season, then would have more confidence. But I think because a
yeah,
lot of these players have dropped in form, I think if Odegaard could really step up in this game, if whoever we get, um, but yeah, do you see a world where we could possibly get through?
Um, look, there is some universe somewhere. I think that
Yeah,
maybe exists where we make it through to the
yeah,
semi-final. I don't know if it will be this one, but look, it's not impossible, is it? I think it's very highly unlikely, and I'll sort of say why. The team I'd actually prefer to get. And I know quite rightly what you say. I also watched that Real Madrid and Manchester City game, and I thought, wow, man, they can turn it on when they want to.
yeah,
I'd like Real Madrid more actually over Atletico, and I'll tell you why. The reason I wouldn't like Atletico is because I watched us against a very pragmatic and dark arts, if you will, sort of style Newcastle and Eddie Howe's team. We lost 4-0 over aggregate there, and I sit there and I think, we didn't even, I don't think we had a shot, or at least a shot on target, maybe a one shot on target in the first leg at Newcastle. And then, in the second leg at Newcastle, sorry, we didn't really have a great game in the first leg either. We had a few chances in the first leg, to be fair, and, we didn't really put them away. But, I think if an Eddie Howe's sort of powerful, dirty Newcastle can beat us 4-0 and 2 legs in the Carabao Cup. I mean, what are Atletico and
Yeah.
Simeone, who are the masters of that, by the way? What are we going to sort of do at them? Maybe if we was to get like an Atletico, maybe the benefit would sort of be the game at the Emirates, because it's first. The next game is going to be at first.
Yeah.
I think maybe it'd actually benefit us if we was to get them, because maybe we could come away with a 1-0 win or a 2-1 win or a win of any form, and really go sort of Atletico and say, okay, we can defend, bring it on, sort of thing. But yeah, I just think over the 2 legs, I think Simeone will get the better of Arteta.
Yeah.
But then you flip it over, and then it doesn't look much easier or prettier, on the white side of Madrid. And yeah, I mean, like you quite rightly say, they've got Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo,
Yeah.
and Bellingham, and then you start thinking, oh wow, yeah, that don't look great either. The only thing I will say about that, just sort of quickly, is with Real Madrid, I just sit there and think, that is fantastic strike forward, but we have seen them be a little bit off in some. So if we was to get through,
Yeah.
we need a lot of factors, so to go our way. We need their players to have that little bit of an off game. I reckon, we probably could defend maybe and have the defensive performance of our life and keep them at bay as best as we could. But the reason why I sort of say more Madrid is I think there'll be more space for us to attack. The
Yeah.
only problem is if we get that opportunity at home at Real Madrid in that first leg, because we will, they are more open. We will get an opportunity, maybe numerous, maybe 1 or 2. Are we going to take it? Are we going to do a Thierry Henry? Because we haven't got him. Are we going to do a Thierry Henry at the Bernabeu and just cause chaos? Like that. I don't know. I have reservations on whether we'd take it, but look, it's 2 very, very, very tricky games. And if I'm being honest, I think our European campaign ends in Madrid. But you never know over 2 legs.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean, I remember when Chelsea got to that final, I literally thought all day Man City are winning that. And I'll be honest, the Chelsea team had good players. Some of them were just okay. And they obviously have done it. But I think with me as well, what I also think, another thing about how we play is like you look at our set pieces as well. And if I really want to take our chances, I just don't think as well we're good enough in those like free kicks, because I think
Yeah.
to myself, like, there's not many players that I feel confident are going to score from free kicks. I mean, you look at United, Bruno Fernandes has done so
Yeah.
well, and we don't have that player right now. The only player that I think of that possibly could do something is Declan Rice in like a free kick, because Odegaard does take them, but he's sort of stepping away now. I don't think he has that confidence in himself. And
Yeah.
I think in a game against Madrid, if we are ever getting, a corner or a set piece, we need to take those chances. And like you said, are we going to do that? And that's another thing. It's going to be hard to know. Obviously, if we did get through, I would be amazed. I would be like,
Yeah.
wow, I would be surprised. I think for me, if we do lose and we just keep it close, I'll think
Yeah.
the team did all they could considering the injuries. But as we go back to summer, things could have been so different. We could have maybe got to a final, we could have won, and like we said, we never know what's going to happen with football. We could beat them, but I'm just excited to see how we do up against them. I know Liverpool also play tonight against PSG, and honestly, I don't really want to face Liverpool at any point in the Champions League. I know we've got to go to Anfield some point this season. I
Yeah.
think that's enough for us. Like,
Yeah.
I want to
Agreed.
just, yeah. I think I look at Mo Salah and I just think that I think he's
Yeah.
world class, and that we don't have really someone like that. I mean, I've heard Saka could be back, possibly the end of this month, and I think, do we really want to rush him back? I mean, we
Yeah.
know the season is pretty much over in the league, and the Champions League's obviously still quite open. But I think to myself, would you want to really rush Saka back? Like, would you rather save Saka for next season, or would you like to see him in the Champions League if we do kind of get through?
Yeah. Yeah. Look, so obviously we don't know exactly when he's going to be back, or I know you said maybe at the end of the
Yeah,
month, maybe he could do. I sort of think talking from today, I'd like him to just come back at the end of the season, and
Yeah.
at the end of the season, for next season, be ready for next season, and the reason sort of being is we've overplayed him so much. You even go back to Preston, in the maybe the third or fourth round of the Carabao Cup. We were 3-0 up, and we brought him on against the Championship team who were losing 3-0. I'm sitting there thinking, oh my God, why are we
Yeah.
bringing Saka on 3-0 up? This is the last game you wanted some spiteful Northern defenders, for losing 3-0, just thinking I'm just going to take this geezer completely out if he beats me. So I just thought, maybe it's not the best thing to do. And we play him and we play him. We go 5-0 up against teams and we keep him on for the full 90. This was always coming. So this was
Yeah.
always going to happen. And of course we didn't want it to happen. You don't want it to happen to anyone, let alone an Arsenal player, and let alone our best Arsenal player. So it was incoming. But look, I'll slightly change that if, let's just say he does come back at the end of the month. I think we should at least then give him another 2-3 weeks of real sort of attention in terms of, not just go, all right, he's back in match training or whatever. I still think then we should give at least maybe 2 or 3 weeks of training full team, full load to just see how he's coping,
Yeah.
without getting into these match sort of things, or just easing him back nicely over that. And maybe, towards the end of April or mid towards the end of April, start bringing him on maybe in dead rubber games if we have any, to just sort of see how he's going. And who knows? Maybe he might just be ready. Like it.
Yeah.
I just like you said, the last thing I want to do is rush him back, because we've already he might not come back the same player. We've already sort of overplayed him and damaged him. I think if we rush him back and he has a bad setback, I mean, it could really finish this kid's career. And I look at the likes of Jack Wilshere's, Abu Diaby, we've had a few of them, haven't we? Eduardo was never really the same. It was, I just don't want it to happen to him, anyone. But yeah, it's a worry really for him. I think it's going to be one of them, Soph. I think where we'll have to wait and see. As I said, I'd give him off now. I think we owe that to the boy. I really do.
Yeah.
We owe it to him to just go, do you know what? You've been good for us. Take a sort of step back. Go enjoy it with your family, with your partner if you've got one. Really get yourself ready and all fired up for next season. But you never know. If it, like I said, and I won't go on to for too long. If he's ready, 100% ready, then good. But just, especially if he does come back at the end of the month, please just bring him off. Don't give him 90 minutes after 90 minutes. If we're 2-0 up, and the league's a bit deadish sort of anyway, just take him off. He really needs to be managed properly. And I really hope that he is managed. I really do.
I think like you said, he's been like burnt out so many times, and I just worry as well, like Wanyeri as well, like he might get to that point as well. And I think Arteta could manage it better. Like you said, I mean, I was at that Preston game and I thought to myself, like, why is he coming on? We've won it quite comfortably anyway. And it's just these things that, like you said, we do hope Saka's going to be, the same player or even better when he's back, whenever he is back. But you just, I mean, when Timber came back from his injury, I thought the season, I'm not going to expect too much of him. He's had a big injury. Sometimes players aren't the same. And obviously for us, he's been amazing and better than what I thought. But I think with Saka, I think from his perspective, he'll obviously want to, come back and help the team. And if we are in the Champions League at that point when he's back, he'll definitely want to play. But like you said, I think if he's not ready, if he's not 100%, then like you said, there's no point bringing him back. And I think next season we just, I think that's going to be his focus really on, doing better next season, hopefully helping us win trophies. But I think it's hard really on Saka, because I know, like you said, he's our best finisher, he's our best player, and I think things could have been different if he'd not been injured. But I think we've relied on him too much, and I think this is the position we're in now. And I think, like you said, not many of us are surprised that he's burnt out. And I was hoping that Sterling would do a bit better, and maybe we could rotate Saka, but unfortunately that's not been the case. But
Yeah.
yeah, it will be great when Saka comes back. I think we know how incredible he is, and yeah, I
Yeah.
just hope that the Champions League we can just do as good as we can. But I'm with you. I don't don't expect us to win really. But tomorrow, what is your score prediction for the second leg of the game?
Yeah, like I said, I don't maybe expect Mikel Arteta to do as many wholesale changes as I did, but I think we'll still put out a team that can win comfortably. I do think we'll concede. Like you
Yeah,
said, I think it's a good point that you made. I do think maybe they'll come with maybe an owe it to the fans that have
yeah,
travelled sort of mentality. So you are right there. I think there's more likely that than what I sort of said, and it might be training ground. I think you might be right there. That's a good point. So yeah, I think they'll come back, and if we have got, and I expect them to rest one or both of Gabriel and Saliba. It would be really, really poor
mm,
management if they didn't at least rest one of them.
yeah,
So yeah, I think we'll have a little makeshift sort of defense. Maybe maybe we might concede one, but I do expect at least a 2-1. But do you know what? I'll be a little bit more positive than usual. I'll go for a 3-1 because I think we should be comfortable enough there, surely, to put
yeah.
three. So apart from my toothache, I've had quite a good evening. So yeah, I'm going to be a bit more positive, and I'm going to go for a nice, comfortable 3-1 win Arsenal.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think we're going to score as many this tomorrow,
Yeah.
but
Well,
I'm
if
with
we
you. I
do,
think
then
yeah, that'll be incredible. I think like 2-1, 3-1. I definitely think
yeah,
we'll score. I mean, if we don't, we know we've won anyway. But I definitely see them bringing a bit more energy and, like you said, proving a point. Because, I mean, if you're a PSV fan, that'd be just awful to watch what happens. And I mean, we've been on the receiving end of that in the Champions League plenty of
yeah.
times. So, um, yeah, I definitely think the fans deserve more. But for us, obviously, we're happy with that, and obviously, hopefully, we will get through. But thank you so so much for coming on my
Yeah.
channel. I've really enjoyed having you on.
Me too. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've very much enjoyed my time, and nearly an hour's gone, literally,
It
like
goes
that.
so quick.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. No, and I'm very grateful to be able to share the screen with you and talk a bit of Arsenal to another passionate Arsenal fan. That's why I started up the channel. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
To have a little chat with people. You know what I mean? And lovely people like yourself. Who know about Arsenal, care about Arsenal, and ultimately, whether people have got different opinions or not, I think we all want Arsenal to do well.
yeah,
That's what we've all got in common. We all want to see Arsenal succeed. And I know I really hope we do. I
yeah.
really,
Me
really
too.
hope we do. Listen, yeah, but no, it's been an absolute
Yeah,
pleasure.
I do really hope that with Arteta, as we mentioned, we want Arsenal to do well. Obviously, this season, the Champions League's our best chance, really. So I just hope, like you said, things do get better. But big up as well, everyone as well that have, watched the show, commented, and please do check out Aaron's channel, which is in the title as well. And yeah, as I said, it's always lovely to chat with Arsenal fans, and yeah, I've really enjoyed it. And thank you all so so much for watching. And please don't forget to subscribe to Aaron's channel. Do like this video. Do subscribe here if you are new, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.
Take care.